Tara, she of all things transformational, transformational bodywork, transformational guidance coaching, and for our purposes here today, transformational yoga. This one is going to be super short, super sweet, and super helpful. All we're going to do today is a posture correction that you can do anywhere you are, as long as you have a little piece of wall. Even a door could probably do the trick. So this trick is using our body pressure. It's sort of like kinesiology, our body pressure against the surfaces that we're using to help us correct our posture. So I'm going to get real vulnerable with you right now, and I'm going to kind of show you what my natural, unedited, unconscious posture is. So this is kind of what it is. And you can see when you look at this posture, if you look closely, that I round my shoulders a little bit. You can see there's a little rounding in my upper back. The scapula flare out a little bit. And I have a little bit of a downward trajectory of my head. So I have to be conscientious about how I utilize my body, because I have a tendency to pitch ahead and forward. I am always looking down, what needs to be picked up on the floor, what do I need to do, and where am I going into the future? There's a deeper thing there, right? But in terms of physicality, what I can do to assist myself physically, kind of with my intrinsic posture, there's all sorts of exercises, right? There's different kinds of core exercises, there's different kinds of back exercises, there's a lot of things. But the biggest thing that I can do is I can bring conscientiousness to it, and I can reteach my muscle memory over and over again, maybe 1,000,000 times a day. I can teach my muscle memory to recalibrate to a more vertical position, so that my home position is not so much on the rounded side. Now, will I ever fully get there in this lifetime? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I can continue to make deposits in that account. And this technique is one of the quickest ways to do it. So you're going to stand with your feet about 2 inches away from a wall, give or take. And then you're going to just lean back. So the only thing touching the wall initially is the back of your head. And you're going to slide the back of your head up. So you see how my chin is kind of dipping down a little bit. And I feel my feet starting to press in. My hips are still not pressing the wall at all. And then I'm going to bring the backs of my hands to the wall. And the shoulder blades might come towards the wall, but you also might feel them slide down the back a little bit. So now you're going to start to press your feet, especially in the ball of the foot. Press the feet strongly into the floor. Slide the back of the head up and press the back of the head and the back of the hands into the wall. Notice my palms are wide open, so all 10 fingers are engaged with the wall. So you can't see it, but I'm really pressing my feet into the floor, my back of my head, the back of my hands. We're going to take a few good breaths here. Keep going. Keep it going. And then release and allow yourself to float away from the wall. You don't have to do much. Just don't let it come undone. Take a few breaths. The eyes might naturally be tempted to close. And you're going to take a few breaths and feel the body. Take inventory. So I'm going to turn to the profile so you can see what the effect was on me. You can see I'm more vertical. I'm not even really working at it. So notice as you're standing there, where's the weight on your feet? It may have shifted to the front of your feet, but typically when we're on the vertical axis, the weight is more on the heels a little bit more on the heels than the front of the foot. I'd say like maybe, 60, 65% on the heels, and then the rest is distributed on the front of the foot. So the weight on the heels assists that vertical axis. Once I bring my weight onto the balls of my feet, then I start to pitch forward. And once I start to pitch forward, then I start to round forward and then add things like our phones boop, 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 into the picture. And all of a sudden we're like this, right? So even more, more accessible than using the wall is just to shift your weight onto your heels. Open up the palms so that you're contracting the triceps and the back of the arms, the quadriceps and the front of the legs. And then depending on your hips, right? If you tend to flip your tailbone back and stick your belly out, then you might need to just slightly slide your tailbone down. I don't advocate tucking tailbones. I don't advocate for that, but some of us do need to lengthen the lumbar a little bit. If you tend to have a flat lumbar because you have that either genetically predisposed or you have tucked your tail for years, decades, whatever, to try to stabilize your body, then in your case, what you need to do is ever so slightly move the sit bones back. So, kind of depends on the angle of your pelvis. How do you know? You got to use things like you can film yourself. Look at yourself in mirrors, or as you're walking around. Sometimes I'll see myself in a shop window or something, and I correct. So it's not that we should be self-obsessed or whatever, but there's information and feedback, right? And so using the feedback that you can visually see, and then say, okay, well, when I saw that, I was in this position. So now take the position where your heels are taking most of the weight. You can bring your feet to be parallel. I'm in hip width apart, so the hips are, I call the hips these bones in the front of the pelvis, the ASIS, and I align those with the center of my feet, and that's my version of hip width, not the outer, because the outer, that's flesh, it's muscle, that's fat tissue, whatever. Let's go with the bones. Let's align to the bones. So hip width apart, weight on the heels, contract the extensors of the arms, so your triceps, the back of your hands, contract the extensors of your legs, so your quadriceps. It's not massive contraction, it's just enough. And then notice yourself, then see what you look like. And so then plugging that into your muscle memory, it's the quickest thing you can do to help your posture. There's 1,000 other things, but this is a really quick one. And if you do it a couple times a day, if you bring your weight to your heels and kind of notice yourself a couple times a day, if you do this exercise with the wall, eventually you're going to program your muscle memory to that. So I hope that this was informational and helpful to you. And if it was, all the things to do, right? You give it a like, you can make a comment, you could share it, subscribe to the channel, all the different things. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.